The majority expects a positive report from the European Commission, which will be presented tomorrow by Commissioner Johannes Hahn, with Talon Bala saying that this will open the way for integration. In parallel with the investigations into the circumstances of the robbery, the Serious Crimes Prosecution has started wealth investigations into all the suspects by submitting letters to banks and the Property Registration Office. Albanian food manufacturers have called for a differentiation into penalties applied based on the severity of the abuse with food safety. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, the 28th of May, 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to RTV Ora's English edition. My name is Alexandra, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. The European Commission's report on Albania's progress in fulfilling the priorities of the integration process is expected to be published tomorrow. The EC Enlargement Commissioner Johannes Hahn will present the enlargement package at the meeting of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the European Parliament. Regarding the decision on the negotiations, one possible outcome is an extension to the deadlines until autumn due to the short time between the European elections and the meeting of the EU Council of Ministers in Brussels. A few hours before the progress report, the ruling majority expressed their optimism for a positive decision to be made. In the Integration Commission, the chair of the Socialist Party's parliamentary group, Talon Bala, said that the EC report will pave the way for the opening of negotiations for Albania. The new opposition united their vote with the majority in order to approve the annual report on the National Council for European Integration, while seeking improvements to public administration in dealing with the screening process. The visit of the US congressional delegation to Tirana has occurred while the country faces a rather dire political situation. The majority will launch their local election campaign on June 1, while the opposition will hold their next protest under the slogan "Rama must go" just one day later. In meetings with state leaders, the delegation of the US Congress, accompanied by US Vice Ambassador Leila Moses-Onis, sought to resolve the political crisis. At the meeting with President Meta, they stressed the need for immediate reflection from the political class to emerge from the crisis and the implementation of the justice reform under the lines of the Constitution. The delegation, headed by Mr. Damon Wilson, met with Prime Minister Rama and later headed to Gramasruchi's Assembly headquarters. During this meeting, the Speaker of Parliament expressed gratitude for US support for the reforms undertaken in our country, particularly that of the judiciary. Also on the agenda of the United States delegation was a meeting with the DP chair, Lulzim Basha, which was held at his office of the DP headquarters. Part of the discussions with the heads of state was also the key role that Albania plays in the region in maintaining the Euro-Atlantic course as the only guarantee for peace and stability in the area. The President of the Republic of Albania, Mr. Ilir Meta, also met with the delegation. They discussed the developments and challenges of the region, Albania's priorities in the context of European integration, and the necessity for strategic cooperation between Albania and the US. The main topics of today's discussions focused on the internal political developments and the fastest way to resolve the current political crisis. In addition, conversations also focused on the implementation of judicial reform based on the Constitution, the necessary steps to be taken towards EU integration, and the important role Albania plays as a key factor for stability in the region. The Serious Crimes Prosecution has launched an investigation into the assets of the 6 individuals detained over the robbery at Tirana's Rennes Airport, an event that occurred last April 9th. The Serious Crimes Prosecution has provided information that some of the arrestees and their families possess vehicles, bank accounts and real estate. It has been learned that the Serious Crimes Prosecution has made a request to both the Property Registrar and the Road Transport Directorate to determine the sources of these valuable assets. Currently, the investigations regarding this case are ongoing. 2 further people have also been declared wanted in regards to the robbery at Rennes, which resulted in the death of Admir Muratai and saw €4.6 million disappear into the grasp of criminals. 6 persons have been arrested pending further investigation: Ragib Hajdini, Elton Pikli, Alkon Brengasi, Ronaldo Sulaj, Oltjan Veseli and Sajmir Qela. After having spent 1 year in detention as the main suspect in the murder of Mario Maiolari, Tirana Court has decided to cease investigations into Kastriot Juzi. The decision was made by Judge Kreshnik Omari on the request of the prosecution, according to whom there was insufficient evidence to prove that the defendant was, in fact, the perpetrator of the crime. Present at the hearing was the mother of Maiolari, who reacted strongly and negatively to the decision, declaring it unfair and seeking an appeal. The event occurred in April of last year when the 28-year-old was shot dead at the foot of his apartment building in the Kino Studio area of Tirana. Kastriot Juzi was arrested in Kosovo on the initiative of police less than 48 hours after the serious crime was committed. He was suspected of executing the 28-year-old with a blood feud as the motive, given that Mario Maiolari's father had killed Ilir Juzi back in the year 2000. Albanian food producers, even though they have supported the severity of adjustments to the penal code regarding abuses in food law, now seek some relaxation of the punishments for violations. Producer Luan Leka said the sentences should not be the same for minor issues, such as the sale beyond the expiration date, as for serious issues, such as false declaration of products. Albanian food industry representative Alban Zusi stated that the responsibility should be individual and demanded exclusion from punishment when the company self-reports a compliance problem. Amendments to the penal code on food safety were made to provide for more severe punishments, varying from the cessation of operation for the implicated business to fines and, in the most serious cases, even imprisonment of up to 15 years. If you order an online product, then you will pay more tax. A recent decision of the Customs Administration specifies that the customs tax fee will also be calculated inclusive of the value of the transport of goods. In this way, if the value of the purchase exceeds €22, the tariff will be calculated with 20% VAT plus an additional 2.4% customs tax on both the value of the goods and the shipping. If you do not want to pay taxes, then the purchase value will need to remain under €22, the limit that was set back in 2016 when the tariff for online purchases was first introduced. The reduction of the tax threshold from €150 to €22 for online shopping was not welcomed by citizens, with the data showing that after the tax increase, online purchases have undergone a significant reduction. Meanwhile, traders are satisfied with the decision by the government. They argue that the government's decision places them on a more equal footing. Albania is one of the countries with the lowest level of online purchases in the world, and one of the obstacles in this regard is the level of taxation on goods, which is the highest in the region and even across the European Union. If a shirt is bought online at a price of €20 and the cost of shipping is €5, then in this case we are dealing with a negligible value because the price of the shirt itself is below the €22 limit. However, if the shirt retails at €23 and the cost of shipping is €5, the purchaser will be required to pay more than €6 extra in taxes in order to collect the item. Chemicals in Albania will be restricted. Their use or import is expected to be limited by law, appropriated in standard with European Union law. Minister of Tourism and Environment, Blendi Klosi, during a meeting with a Swedish chemical agency, said that a special office for chemical management will be set up at the premises of the ministry. There is a need for some steps for investigations and implementations of Albanian legislation in line with that of the European Union. We need an agenda of how we will implement it. We will need to record everything and make it transparent, said Minister Klosi. A risk management system will be established and we are working with field experts thanks to EU assistance and the Swedish government. We need to record everything and make it transparent. Minister Klosi added that chemicals are a major problem and such issues require time and money. Dealing with environmental issues has proven most difficult, with the most intricate discussions pertaining to Albania's involvement in standardising local laws with that of Europe, explained Klosi. The minister explained that the need for new laws has arisen as in Albania there is a very poor environmental management system, far removed from that which is applied in Europe. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of RTV Ora, thank you and good night.